Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the anime Komi Can't Communicate Season 1 on Netflix. And I know this has been out for a while, and they were doing it weekly, and they recently just did the dub for it, and I'm like, oh, right, cool, because I just learned about it randomly, and I'm like, is that out now? That'll work, because one of the Twitter people I, messaged with, gave me some information on that. It's like, is that true? And then I looked up on Netflix and I'm like, yeah, alright, that's pretty cool. So I've been waiting for this one for a while to see how well it was, and I was not disappointed. I really enjoyed the dub that they did with this. Um, they just fit with the characters so well, and I had been interested in it because of the basic premise of Komi is this beautiful and popular kind of girl in high school, and we've got Tadano, who's just this dude trying to pretty much stay in the back, and we see that she doesn't really communicate, and he tried to say hi to her on their first day, but he thought he freaked her out or whatnot, or she was being kind of a condescending person by not talking to him. But we see that everybody in the class pretty much loves her, which becomes a running thing, which is funny as shit throughout the whole series. But we see that she has social anxiety and doesn't talk to people, but she really wants to talk to people. I love that that's kind of the premise, and how it really informs a lot of the things going on. A thing that they do at the opening of every episode is explaining that yeah, some people have social anxiety and struggle to communicate with people, but that doesn't mean that they don't want to make friends or make new acquaintances. It's just hard for them to do that, and that pretty much is the basis for all the comedy on here. And it really works very well, because even though it's divided into episodes, each episode is divided up into little vignettes that kind of build on each other. And I don't know exactly how the manga is kind of situated, but doing it that way can either work in an anime's favor or really against it. However, in this case, it actually worked very well in its favor, because you're able to kind of switch up and see various different kind of aspects, because sometimes you'll see Komi and Tadano, in the beginning, setting up everything, how the school is, setting up the whole thing, because we see Tadano kind of got knocked out, and she was, pretty much talking to this, cat doll a little bit, but very quietly, but she's trying to run. He's wait a minute, and he tries to communicate with her through writing on the chalkboard. And that's when we learned that she wants to have friends, and that she's sorry and everything, and that she wants to make 100 friends. He's all right then, well, you 99 more to go. I'll help you out, and she's really happy with that. And he helps her along with this journey of trying to make friends and everything, and it's just hilarity. I'm really happy with how they kind of balanced it, because you could either make the jokes be oh yeah, it's stupid that she can't talk to people, and that's sometimes how those kind of comedy situations go. But no, they're okay, we see her as excited with cat ears and everything like that, and being yeah, let's do this kind of thing, even though she's not communicating. But well, in a traditional kind of sense with her words, even though we see little by little, we learn when a big kind of moment comes where she actually does speak up, and it's alright, cool, it's that great big kind of victory, even though it seems very small. And you just see the different kind of situations. As Tadano is our school is a bunch of crazy people. I mean, shit, one of the gags that they had is that they were trying to figure out who's the class president, and they were going to do Komi, but they're no, class president isn't good enough, and they eventually land on her being a goddess. And the thing is, it's ooh, that could go kind of dark, but it's very interesting, because nobody's really mean to her, and I get it, that's not very realistic. You'd have some people that would be on her, and she does kind of have a rival that's competing with her in ways that Komi's I don't even know what the fuck's going on, because she declares herself a rival, but she's not really mean or hates her or anything like that. She just uses it as kind of fuel. And then there's the one girl, oh my Jesus, oh my god, man, the obsession, it's kind of funny, but the thing is, it gets taken to kind of such lengths of she kidnaps Tadano and says that she's going to bury him on the mountain if he talks. Because she wants to be Komi's girlfriend. And, like, the obsessiveness of her creeps me the fuck out. I'm like, sweet Jesus. Like, sometimes you usually see, like, a guy doing that on it, and it's just, like, it creeps me out, like, whoever's doing it. Guy, girl, and here I'm just like, holy shit. And the thing is, sometimes she's kind of toned down. I'm like, okay, you're obsessive, but it's not into, we've got fucking problem territory where you need to be committed into an insane asylum. And I think kidnapping one of your classmates and threatening to bury him on a mountain is you need mental help. Like, get her mental help. Because that shouldn't be a normal response. Just saying. And her stuff and her obsessiveness with, like, Komi, when it's played off just right, like, they go to a water park. And Komi trips. And her and the rest of the cadre that love Komi are like, we're going to sand down the pool spot that tripped up Komi. And they actually fucking do it. I'm like, okay, that's kind of creepy. But it's kind of funny. And it kind of works out best enough with that kind of thing. But we just see it kind of build on its stuff, like doing stuff with, like, studying for tests, doing kind of, like, small stuff like Komi going to get a haircut or whatnot, and what that kind of ensues, and what she kind of needs to do with communicating that way, talking to her father, and her mother being essentially, like, this, looks almost like her, like, a sister or whatnot, and how she's able to talk and everything is all bubbly and all that kind of shit. It's just like, okay. And her brother is more just kind of like her / the father and all that. But we see her really celebrate her victories, and it really hits home because sometimes she's talking about, like, in the whole pool scenario where she trips up and she hates herself because she feels like she's ruined everybody's time. It's like, god damn, I've felt like that before. Like, it's really kind of, you can feel and empathize with those kind of things. It's like, we've all done something where, like, we hate ourselves for, it's like, we feel like we've ruined the time or whatnot. And Tadano's like, no, we didn't. You're okay. And he, like, helps bring her back in as they're off fucking sanding down the pool. Let's see. So, you really get a good anchor point with Tadano and Komi, and the strength of this anime is in the plot setup and the characters as we see them move throughout. Because if it was not interesting to see Tadano trying to help Komi while also not really like, he can communicate with people, but he doesn't really connect with them too well. We get, like, his kind of backstory as he tried to be, like, this cool kid and everything, and he got rejected, and he tried to usually be the kind of background person, but now we see that since he's trying to help Komi, he's kind of figuring himself out as well, and seeing them both kind of grow on this journey as they're going through these kind of crazy-ass scenarios and just little kind of plot things that just, like, build in each kind of episode. It just works very well and is very entertaining to me and really got me invested in the characters where I'm like, I love these people. They work out very well. And to help with that, we have some of the most gorgeous artwork. Like, I hand it to whoever was in charge of making this because it is beautiful. Like, movie quality. Like, the opening part is just like, holy shit, with, like, the use of colors and the kind of, like, magical kind of realism without any kind of magical elements. Like, the use of color just makes it pop and be like, yes, it's ordinary, they're just at school, but you get that sense of, like, kind of like, wow, it's so vibrant and colorful and just feels like you're in there with them. It's just like, yeah, that's kind of cool. And it just works very well, and it helps bring you in. And the thing is, it doesn't go completely, like, photorealistic kind of portion, but you do get a nice sense of place and characters. It stylized to a certain kind of art style, and it just works very well. Like, how to explain it? Like, the Borderlands series. It's not realistic, but it really represents kind of how that kind of world is. So it's like, if you see art from it, you're like, that's Borderlands. You know what I mean? You're like, that kind of hits it with you. And it looks like those characters would exist in that world. That's what you get here. They're not completely like strangely drawn or whatnot, where they're completely lanky or just kind of chibi stocky or anything like that. But it just, like, it's really beautiful and really detailed for what it is showing in the artwork, and I'm like, yes, please. And the voices just fit the characters very well for me. Now, granted, I didn't see like the original Japanese subbed, so I don't know about that. But I really felt that watching the dub, that it worked very well with the characters. That I didn't get any kind of like weird thing where it's like that voice really doesn't match with that character. And oh my god, they're just doing some crazy ass shit. Like, I don't know if this line like worked out. It was like the last episode of the season, and they're at this karaoke thing, and one of the characters is trying to take drink orders, and you have to listen because they start shouting out all this stuff, and I swear to God, I heard someone be like, "cream of corn soup," and I'm like, did we get somebody doing an ad-lib here? Because that was fucking hilarious. I lost my shit where I had to pause it, and then the person's like, you know what, fuck it, everybody's getting cold. And it's like, fuck. So, yes, there's only 12 episodes here, and I don't feel shortchanged or anything. It was a nice right pacing and a nice right ending kind of point for that. And we are getting a second season in April. I don't know how that is going to coincide, if it's just going to be subbed first bi-weekly, and then we got our lag time before the dub pops up, or since the dub has popped up, that they also recorded the dub to release them both at the same time. I'm not sure. Netflix kind of throws up in the air every so often with what's going on with their animes. Sometimes you'll get dubs and subs at once. Sometimes you'll just get a sub. I don't know if I've ever seen a part where you got a dub and no sub. That would be like the oddest fucking thing I've ever seen, but I've never heard nor seen of it. But you kind of try to figure out what they're kind of doing with it. But I'm glad I watched this because I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend this to anyone. There aren't overtly sexual situations. There's some fan service with, of course, the pool and everything like that. Yeah, I think it would be good for most people to watch, because of the overall premise of somebody wanting to communicate with people but having a very hard time and struggling with that. You can get that even if you're younger and not in high school, out of high school, pretty much just been like out of high school for like as long as whatever. It's really able to connect with a lot of people, I think. And I would definitely recommend this to anyone. It's a nice one that you'd be able to like. Now, granted, I've been waiting for the dub, and I like finished it in like 2 days because I'm like, all right, and then I'm just like, shit. All those episodes worked out for me. I'm like, all right, and I'm like, yes, I can do season 2 whenever you got it. It's kind of awesome because it's got that kind of midpoint with me. Like sometimes. You got a bad show or whatnot that you watch, you're like, sweet God, that took me forever to get through. And you're like trying to like beat your head through a wall to kind of get through it. And you're like, no, never again. And then there's those other ones that are like so great and you're like, I need more. Or you got that kind of empty hole kind of feeling after you finished it. It's like, I need the next season, or I can't believe that's over. And then you kind of have that lull period where you're like, ugh. I'm glad I have this point at it where it's like, I do want the next season, but I'm not like completely chomping and raring at the bit for it. It's like, this was good, this has sustained me, and I'm definitely ready for whenever they start the next one. Kind of like Devil is a Part-Timer. Now granted, that one's been like eons, but I'm definitely looking forward to that motherfucker when that pops up. So, I love this story premise and the plot that they've got going on with all the crazy kind of shenanigans that happen in school. They're really good with character development, and it really sucked me in for the characters. So if you're into plot and characters, definitely recommend. And if you're into art style and everything, definitely check this out because it is fucking beautiful. So, those are my opinions on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.